Okay. So last class we started discussing about the classification of the electric motors. So mainly, broadly, these are all classified as a three different motors, three different kind. If you are classified the motors based on the supply, that is using a DC and AC means. So we are having a DC machine and AC machines only. Apart from that, if you are classified based on the applications, okay, so some special purpose applications, special machines also is there. So if you are classified on that, there once again we can have another one category we call stepper motor and switched reluctance motor. So these are all the main classifications. So we already discussed about completely about DC type, DC machines, series motor and parallel motor, the shunt motor, and another one is in the same case shunt type, separately excited, self-excited. So actually shunt motor is a self-excited, and we are having another one configuration, separately excited motor. And third category is compound motor. In the compound motor itself having two different connections, so it is called cumulatively compounded and differentially compounded. So we have seen, I have explained yesterday what is meant by differently compounded and cumulatively compounded. So if it is a differently compounded machine, very rarely only we are using. So the main characteristics, what is important things, whenever we are keep on loading the particular motor, speed may be tend to increase only. So or otherwise we can say that up to a region, so even though we have added the load, it is simply maintaining its speed or it is trying to increase. So a proper design must be there in order to manufacture a compound motor, which is very much suitable for differentially compounded motor. Okay, so of course, majority of the application we have only used a cumulatively compounded motor. That is, each field support each other, by which we can able to maintain torque constant. So come to a AC machine, we have discussed about the induction machine. Yesterday we have discussed about the induction machine. So how the induction motor is working. Suppose a three-phase power supply is given to its stator. Okay, there will be rotating RMF. The rotating magnetic field will be there. Because of the rotating magnetic field cuts the windings in the rotor, which is electrically separated, not connected. Only a rotor is magnetically having coupling. So because of that, the magnetic flux lines will cut because it is rotating magnet will cut the conductors. So there will be induced EMF. So the end rings are short circuited. So because of that induced EMF, okay, and end rings are all short circuited. So torque will be induced on that. So according to the Lenz's law, in order to oppose the cause, it starts rotating in the same direction as that of the rotating magnetic field. So now rotor also start rotating, but there will be a slip. So that what is the speed at which rotating magnetic field is rotating is directly proportional to the frequency of the supply. Say for example, I am having a suppose if I want to calculate ns, okay, ns, that is nothing but synchronous speed. What is the speed at which rotating magnetic field? This is a formula 120 f by p. So here this is what is the speed at which my RMF, rotating magnetic field, it's rotating in this stator. Okay, and this is the supply frequency. Supply frequency. What is the frequency of the voltage? That is, what is the frequency? Okay, so automatically it's a voltage frequency. Okay, applied. This is a pole. So if you see that the number of poles, okay, that is a fixed one. So by varying the frequency, I can able to vary the synchronous speed. So we yesterday see that slip. What is the slip is nothing but, so definitely if my rotor is start in order to catch up with the magnetic field, in order to start okay in the same direction as that of the rotating magnetic field, so definitely it cannot catch up because it is a magnetic field, it is a physical part. So automatically there will be a time constant delay. So if you are all studied, okay, so which are all making a magnetic field, okay, it is a field. It is not a physical component present, but whenever it as a response from the physical component, definitely a time constant will be there. So that mechanical time constant will be there. That is nothing but input and response. If both are in the same level in the magnetic field, it can be happen immediately. But whereas input is in a magnetic field, the response from the mechanical one. So automatically that time constant makes something somewhat less than the speed. So automatically my rotor speed, rotor speed, okay, always lesser than ns. That is synchronous speed. In case of so in this case, I can able to calculate. So slip is nothing but what is the difference between synchronous speed and rotor speed divided by ns. Usually in terms of percentage. Usually in terms of percentage we are saying. Percentage we are saying. So usually the slip in a no load to full load may be varying from 2 to 6 percentage. 2 to 6 percentage. Say for example, at no load, at no load, I may have a 1500 RPM. Suppose my supply frequency is 50 hertz. Okay, number of poles are four or two like that, pair of poles. If we are assuming that, if we are increasing that, automatically speed will be getting decreased. Okay, so if that means if I'm assuming this is a 1500, automatically if I am 2 percentage, if I apply to that, around 1440 or 1460 RPM only will be there. So that will lead to a percentage of slip. Okay, but if I keep on loading, because the rotor only have connected to the shaft, so through the shaft only, whatever may be the mechanical load we are going to apply to the particular motor. So because of that, speed may be decreasing. So my NR will be keep on decreasing. So NS will not alter. NS will not alter unless otherwise my supply frequency is changed. My supply frequency is changed. If I'm increasing the frequency, what will happen to that particular speed? So what synchronous speed of the particular machine will be also, because it is directly proportional. It will be increasing. Okay, as a result of that, okay, so definitely this no load rotor speed also will be increasing. No load. So automatically, if I want to have a control over the motor, induction motor, very importantly, I can able to control the particular speed by means of controlling the frequency. Controlling the frequency. How I can able to do that means, if I'm having a if I'm having a converter arrangement, say for example, as far as our electrical vehicle is concerned or hybrid electrical vehicle is concerned, in both the cases we are going to use the battery. We are going to use the battery as the ESS, energy storage system. So assume that this is a battery. Okay, I'm going to give it to a inverter. Okay, which invert or which will convert the DC to AC. Okay, which will convert the DC to AC. So here I'm going to have one inverter. So you are all seeing no in household UPS supply, uninterrupted power supply. We are having a battery, we are having an inverter. So through that inverter, we are able to get okay AC output. So up to this is a DC. Okay, after the inversion, we are having a P and N. That is phase neutral. Usually, it is not positive negative. We have to assume it is phase neutral. Okay, so that means up to this end, if I draw the waveform between a time and voltage, it will be equal to a voltage. It will be constant. But here, after that, the conversion will be there in such a way that it is having a phase angle. So it will be sinusoidal way. Because all our appliances, okay, household appliances or automatic, all the appliances, okay, they are all manufactured in such a way that it will be working in a AC supply only. That is alternating current. Okay, so automatically, if AC supply is provided, I can able to do this. So here in this inverter, inside the inverter, what is this inverter is nothing but having a number of semiconductor switches. Semiconductor switches. if the switches, is similar to that of any mechanical switches. Say for example, I am having a one supply. Assume that I am having a one supply and I am having a one switch, and parallelly I am having a one resistor is connected. Parallelly I am having one resistor is connected. Okay, this is a, so if since it is a switch, I am making it as a round. I am making it as a switch. This is a resistor. Okay, so assume that it is a mechanical switch. I'm keeping open. So now this switch position is open position, like this condition. What will happen? Automatically, this complete voltage will be applied to the resistor because there is no any path for flow of current. Okay, so complete resistance will be open. So now the entire voltage will be dissipated across this by drawing a current, okay, which is equal to what is the applied voltage and what is the value of the resistance. So this is a basic concept. Okay. So now if I'm simply close the switch, now I make it close the switch. Okay. Now I'm close the switch. What will happen? Compared to the resistance of this one, now here a very zero, almost zero resistance. Okay. Practically speaking, switch is when it's closed, it is zero resistance. So one nature of current will be always prefer low resistance path. Say for example, okay, here I want to some elaborate because we are going to talk about next the converters only. I'm having a, say this you have to understand. Okay, so you have to keep it in mind always. So if I'm having a two resistance value, okay, two resistance value which are in parallel to the any supply. So I'm having a two resistance which are in parallel. Okay, resistance 1 and resistance 2. If these two resistance are there, there will be a equal current. Okay, both resistance will be drawing a equal current when the resistance are equal. Okay, when the resistance are equal. Suppose, so I'm having a drawing a current I. Here, out of this I1 current will be flow through this resistance and I2 current is flow through this resistance. Okay, so then we both will be added as a return current to the source. Okay, so I will be going. So this I1 and I2 will be equal when my R1 equal to R2. Suppose if R1 is less than R2, automatically what will happen? R1 is less than R2 means, so it is offering a lower resistance for flow of current, whereas compared to the high resistance. Automatically, my I1 will be increasing. My I1 will be increasing and I2 will be decreasing. I2 will be decreasing. Okay. So if R1 is very much high, R1 is very much, R1 is very much low resistance compared to the means. I1 will be very much high value, I2 will be very low value. In the same way, if my R1 is zero, I keep on reducing the resistance. Finally, I reach the position of zero. Then I is equal to I1 and I2 is equal to zero. I2 is equal to zero. Okay. So whenever I'm keeping this resistance zero, whenever I'm keeping both the resistance equal, it draws both equal current. Whenever I'm decreasing the resistance compared to the value of the resistance 2, automatically current flow through the resistance will be increasing because always current preferred. Remember this statement, always current prefer low path resistance. Okay, here this path resistance is low. So here also some current will be go. So comparatively here more current will be going. If I keep on reducing the resistance, current flow through will be keep on increasing than this one. So if I make it to zero, if I make it to zero, here there is no resistance offered for the current. So automatically all the current will be flow through this line only. There won't be any current flow through this resistance too. Okay, so that is will be that is what happening. Okay, so automatically if I'm close the switch, what will happen? Here resistance becomes zero. Earlier, this is very high resistance, open circuit. So there won't be any current. Now it is closed. So this resistance is zero compared to this. All the current will be flowing through this one only. So now there is no any current flow. So now if I'm making this switch on and off, uh, keep on doing on and off, on and off, on and off. Say for example, in a 1 second, in a 1 second, in 1 second, okay, if I keep on make it on and off, on 60 time, off 60 time, on 60 time, on off 60 time means, so automatically what will happen? There will be on and off 60 times. 60 times on and off means what will be the effective current or the average current that will flow through this is, it is completely depends on the value of the resistance. Now the resistance value is altered. So in a single second, I make it a 60 times on and off. So my resistance value, earlier it was open, now R, full resistance. Suppose if I'm keep on increasing the on and off, now the effective resistance, it is called as effective resistance or effective, since I am drawing from mouse, writing from mouse, writing will be somewhat like this only. So effective resistance will be between 0 to R. Are you agree? Hello? Respond. So my effective resistance can be varied. So earlier, when I am having a complete open R resistance, if I am completely closed, it is zero. Effective resistance across the circuit. When I open the switch completely, the effective resistance is R. When I close the switch completely, the effective resistance is zero. So when I am making in between on and off, I can able to have a sliding, okay, resistance over this region 0 to R. This is called effective resistance. So by means of having a switching frequencies like that, I can able to control, okay, whatever may be the output supply frequency. Here we are seeing, no, we are seeing that particular supply. Okay, we are seeing that particular supply. So here this can be having a different frequency. So by means of increasing the switching frequency, I can have a supply exactly for the output. So now I can have a different supply frequency like this. Okay, so this means earlier is having a one off cycle, this much time it takes, this much time it takes. Okay, so what is the frequency? What is the frequency? Frequency is equal to 1 by T. 1 by T. Earlier, this frequency having this much T. Now you seeing that one positive cycle or negative cycle. Now this is my new T1. Now a new frequency, okay, which is less than the earlier T. Automatically, if the denominator, this value is less than means frequency will be increased. So this is how the supply frequency of the particular inverter output can be changed. If a inverter output can be changed, automatically what will happen? So here I can able to, because one end we are seeing that if you are change the frequency, if you are increasing the frequency, that is directly going to contribute to the rotating magnetic field. How fast it is rotating. So what is the frequency? What is the speed at which my supply is rotating? Yes. Any clarification? Any clarification, please? Are you all able to understand this concept? Because even though you are non-electrical, so you have to understand, because it is very very fundamental concept only. Because electrical vehicles means by simply having a same motor. Okay. So usually, normally, what we are seeing in household appliances and other, whether you are using a mixie or your water pump. Okay, if you are switch on the supply, it will keep on rotating. Okay, so only thing is whenever we experience some supply changes, fluctuations. So usually, normally in the morning time, okay, so there will be a supply fluctuations will be there. Likewise, night time also will be there. So if a voltage is not a stable one, okay, 230 voltage, single phase 230 voltage means, now suppose in your house it is fluctuating from 230 to 200 or 180, like that means we can able to hear some voice noise change. Okay, speed of the particular one, so we can able to understand that speed is changing. The same way the same way without changing the supply voltage, if you are changing the frequency of the supply also, we can able to change the speed. How? This is a concept. Ns equal to 120 f by p. So ns is nothing but synchronous speed. So automatically, uh, a rotating magnetic field. Okay, so will be rotating in the speed only. Suppose if I'm increasing the frequency of the supply, automatically speed can be increased. The same way, if I'm decreasing the frequency, I can able to change the speed. So using the same motor without any gear arrangement, very importantly, you have to remember, this is absolutely not possible. Okay, by only by means of a internal combustion engine. Internal combustion engine. Okay, normally we have to make it allow to continuously rotating. So only by means of, whenever we are changing, we cannot have a very very precise control of speed like motor in internal combustion engine. Okay, so very importantly, you have to note it down. Okay, so of course, the gear arrangement is exclusively used to transfer powertrain only. Okay, through the powertrain, when we are transferring the power, propulsion power to the wheel, we are dividing the power into a two different component. One is torque and speed. When the torque is very high, initially as to first gear, when the torque need very high in order to overcome the moment of inertia of the vehicle, we are using the first gear. So automatically, enormous amount of torque is required. So automatically, speed will be less. So when we are keep on, when once the vehicle start moving, rotating, okay. So as per the Newton's law, it will be in the same state. So we have to give externally some supply supporting. So automatically now the torque required may be reduced. So we can able to increase the speed. Okay, by means of through the powertrain, whenever it is transferring, propulsion power is transmitted to the wheel, we can increase the speed. We can reduce the torque. Okay, but as far as the motor character is concerned, we can able to maintain. Okay, we can able to maintain torque. Or in other words, whenever we want to increase the speed by the propulsion, okay, by the propulsion, that's exclusively by the internal combustion engine, I have to decrease the torque. Torque will be decreasing only. There is no any other option. Likewise, whenever the vehicle in rotation, at least in a moving only, I can able to realize the high torque. Okay, but whereas even at a standstill, I can able to realize very high torque from the electrical vehicle. So these are all the advantages and fundamentals. Okay, so here come to the presentation. So here we are having, okay, so two different type of induction machine. One is a squirrel cage and another is a wound rotor. What is a squirrel cage is nothing but you are having a skewed bars. Okay, skewed bars instead of winding. So automatically the rotor. Okay, suppose if I'm assuming this is a rotor. Okay, this is a rotor. Okay, if I'm having that, I may have, as I already told, with certain angle. Okay, with certain angle, bars will be placed. Bars will be placed. Okay, so like slightly, not exactly parallel, slightly making an angle. Okay, for the complete rotation, complete rotation. Okay, this skewed bars will be there. The bar, all the bars in end rings, they are all short circuited. End rings will be short circuited. Okay, So because when it is short circuited only, there will be current flow will be there. So when there is a current flow only, the torque will be produced. Okay, because when the flux lines are flux lines are cutting this, okay, cutting this rotor bar, there will be induced EMF. Because of the EMF, voltage will be there. So if since I'm endings are short circuited, so a current will be there, high current will be there. That current making the required torque. So that is the basic principle of operation of any induction motor. So if you are used only skewed bars, endings are short circuited, that will be called squirrel cage induction motor. Instead of that, the same rotor is wounded, okay, using a winding, okay, using a winding, okay. Say for example, I'm having a winding. So if I'm having a winding, okay, and output terminals are available, okay, output terminals are available, okay. So for further supply, I can able to supply, inject EMF, I can able to take it away, all these things. So this is also possible. Why we are going for another one configuration called wound rotor means, so wound rotor motor can produce very high starting torque if a resistance is added at the initial beginning. So usually when we are starting the motor, okay, so there will be resistance will be added to the rotor circuit. Because of that, I can able to produce a very high torque. Later, once it is overcome, because very heavy load is there. In order to overcome that load, we need a very high torque, which is not required for running. Which is not required for running. Only at the beginning we need means we can add we can add external resistance only at the beginning. After certain torque, the vehicle is start move. We can able to cut the resistance. Okay, make it a short circuit, and we can able to run this motor as a normal motor. So that is the very important purpose why we are going for a wound rotor motor. That is called slip ring induction motor. Another one name is called, we are calling it as SRIM. Some books they have mentioned like that, SRIM. And this one is SCIM. Many books they may be mentioned SCIM. SCIM is squirrel cage induction motor. SRIM, slip ring induction motor. Slip ring, there will be a ring will be producing. Okay, so slip ring induction motor, or otherwise we will call it as a WRI, wound rotor induction motor. So there is a two different categories. So why earlier, earlier in electrical vehicle, okay, so whether a Japan company, even Nissan Leaf, you know that Nissan Leaf, now currently they are using only DC motors. Nissan Leaf is using a DC machine only for propulsion. Okay, whereas Chevrolet they are using a brushless DC motor. So advanced version, okay, brushless DC motor, avoiding a brush, electronically in a rotor, they are providing a DC supply. Whatever may be the induced EMF on the rotor, it will be converted using a rectifier bundle. Okay, it will bundled with the rotor, not having electrically contacted. It is producing a rectified output, that is called a brushless DC motor. That is Chevrolet. Earlier they are used only. Okay, now the only, so now we are able to realize the advantage of induction machine, especially Elon Musk, okay, the CEO of Tesla. Now you know that you should know. Okay, so he's one of the very bright CEO. Okay, so making all the small, even a startup company to a very highly profited in USA, he is very popular. So after he was taken charge as a CEO. Okay, now the Tesla S model came, that is having a, so these are all Japanese one side. If you see that this right hand side, that is eastern side. Okay, so all the Japan company. So even Chevrolet is a, it is also a General Motors, American based, but jointly with the Chinese. Chinese, they are it's a collaborator. It's a collaboration. Okay, so joint collaboration Chevrolet. Okay, American, that is a General Motors, and another one is SAIC Motors from the Chinese. So joint venture. But whereas the Tesla is exclusively manufactured by a USA, they have used AC machines. They have said using a rigid construction, okay, simplicity operation, simply controlling the frequency. they preferred induction machine, especially AC machine, induction machines. Okay, so there is another one means also we can able to control the speed, as I told earlier. That is not only the frequency, not only the frequency is directly proportional to the NS. Okay, what is the voltage I'm applying to the stator is directly proportional to the NS square. What is the synchronous speed square? So if I'm varying the supply voltage, okay, supply voltage of the stator, that is varying the proportional to the square of the synchronous speed. So if I'm varying the automatically, this will be also varying, synchronous speed also varying. So there is a two means. Okay, so without having an electrical contact to the rotor, I can able to have very precisely, very importantly, we can able to control the speed very precisely. So that is the advantage is they taken. So now Tesla S model is coming out with a induction motor as a power propulsion unit. So automatically, so you should know as a because we are it is introduction level. So subject name itself introduction to electrical vehicle to the non-electrical branches. So you should aware about that. So likewise in the 19th century, okay, in the year 1900, okay, at the beginning, so DC motors only very much popular, so especially DC series motors. Series motor, no, with a very high torque it is producing. Even in Indian railways, it was for about some time. Indian railways also it was for about some nearly at the beginning. So very high torque. It is capable because rain at the station it stands still. So now it has to overcome the moment. The dead weight of the entire train has to be taken care by engine. Need to propel the engine with a very high torque. So earlier they believed the series motor is very much useful. So they used a series motor. Likewise, Toyota Prius model they also used DC. Chevrolet they used a brushless DC motor. Especially Nissan Leaf in Indian market, new electrical vehicle market. So all the new electrical vehicle out of electrical vehicle, 61 percentage are from the Nissan Leaf only. So Nissan Leaf car, now they are currently used only DC motor. We have to remember this. So this is a Japan company. The headquarters is situated in Japan, but of course the manufacturing plant in India also is there. 61 percentage of the new electrical vehicle coming in Indian market belongs to Nissan Leaf. so you should, but Americans having okay entirely opposite. They gone for a AC, especially induction machine. So far, we have not used. So from 19th century onwards, we have used DC up to brushless DC motor. They came. Now after the Elon Musk, okay, he completely having a different concept. They are implemented successfully, and now it is a vehicle. Okay, a top variant vehicle, which is having a very high mileage range and all. So this is a thing. Apart from that, so we are using a permanent magnet synchronous machine. So we are even though we are having a salient pole, non-salient pole, okay, and reluctance machines also is there. So we preferred, as far as the electrical vehicle is concerned, we are only preferred permanent magnet synchronous motors only. So this can be similar to that of a brushless DC motor. Okay, we can able to operate that. Okay, so these are all the special purpose machines, switched reluctance motor. So that is also came coming a concept is coming from the we can have okay we can have very precise control over that. When we preferred very lightweight machine, lightweight propulsion unit, we are preferring the switched rotor electric machines. Okay. So any clarification on this classification of electrical motors, you can feel free to ask now. I'm expecting doubt. Okay, so day by day we are going one by one. On first unit we are entering into second unit. I'm expecting you to come with because it is absolutely open elective. Because of your interest to know about a new topic, now we have chosen. We have chosen open. There is a introduction to electrical vehicle. Of course, you may not belong to automobile engineering or mechanical engineering. All of you electrical engineering people, you are all came from another engineering, including some of the mechanical engineering students. So you should have some, definitely having some doubts. Okay, so because then only I can also able to understand that okay, you are following. Any clarification? Because slowly we are entering into, now first unit general concept. Now we are slowly entering into electrical one. So definitely at this point of time, I am expect more people will have doubt. Please clarify your doubts if you are having anything. Any clarification? Am I audible? What I am presenting is visible to you all? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Any doubts? Any doubts? People from food processing technology? Because as I already told, it is a qualitative treatment only. We are not going to do anything with the qualitative treatment, just like what is what, okay, technology, principle of operation, like that only we are going to touch. Because you are all not, we cannot have okay exactly like a automobile engineering student or similar to electrical, but of course we should know what is what. Okay, so because as I already told in the introduction class, so these are all the concepts. Now it is open to, it's an interdisciplinary one. So simply we can say, we cannot say electrical vehicles belongs to a automobile or mechanical or electrical people alone. It is interdisciplinary one, starting from architecture, starting from design, okay, starting from even fuels, okay, fuels from the wastages, how we can able to use that, okay, for producing electricity. So many means you can contribute to the development of the electrical vehicle. So as per the government of India FAME, fast adoption and manufacture of electrical vehicle, that is to in the 2030 we have fixed a target of 30 percentage of the vehicle should be okay commercial. That is vehicle, new vehicle should be from the electrical side, electrical vehicle. Okay, so automatically, as a budding engineers, as a technocrat, as a new to this field, you may have some innovative ideas. So by knowing this, absolutely, it should induce some innovative ideas should be induced in your mind. Okay, so definitely to proceed further with that, you may need some clarification also. So without having a doubt or without clarification, we may not learn any subjects. Okay, okay. Anyhow, I'll proceed further. Okay. So next we will see. So after learning these things, especially as I told, very importantly DC and AC machine and switcher reluctance machine. As far as synchronous machine concerned, there is a salient pole and non-salient pole. It is simply we are having a two different variety. Only thing is, what is the difference between the AC machine and what is the difference between induction machine and the synchronous machine is, so both are supplied with the AC supply, but synchronous machine will be always running at synchronous speed. Okay, my rotor also will be running at the synchronous speed only. So automatically, if as it is the synchronous machine concept, as it is as a basic model, it is totally not useful for our electrical vehicle application. Why? It will be always running at a synchronous speed. Okay, I cannot change the speed. If I keep on varying the load, automatically current and other things will be only, but it will be always running at the synchronous speed only. So whenever it is not capable, my rotor is not capable of running at synchronous speed, that is called, we can have pull out torque. So due to the pull out torque, it may not run. Okay, it may come to end. So synchronous machine in the same form, we are not preferring for electrical vehicle. So, but as far as this basic concept we are taking, this concept is implemented in a DC machine. What is happening in DC machine? DC machine field is stationary. Field is stationary. Field is stationary. Armature is rotating. Armature is rotating. But in synchronous machine, we can have a brushless DC machine concept in such a way that field is rotating. Field is rotating. Okay, armature can be stationary. Armature can be stationary. So it's a simple slight ulta of that we have used in the particular one. And apart from that, in a rotor side, rotor will not be electrically coupled. Through the magnetic coupling, we can have induced EMF on that. We will going to see. Okay, what is that? So as it is synchronous machine, we cannot have it for the electrical vehicle application because it is having a constant speed. Okay, so constant speed. So there is a two different variant. One is a salient pole and cylindrical pole. Salient pole is nothing but rotor will be like a normal rotor, like other motor. Okay, salient pole means okay, rotor will have a projection. Okay, projection like this. Okay, so automatically there will be some projections. So like this, a projection will be there. So these are all will be there. Some damping winding will be, damper winding will be provided. So this is called okay, salient pole, salient pole. Okay, salient pole, non-salient pole or this is called cylindrical pole. So rotor structure will be like this. If a rotor is having a some poles, okay, salient pole, synchronous motor will be there. So this is, I think, I don't want to confuse much with that because main our aim is to identify the propulsion unit, electrical propulsion unit from the DC and the AC machines. Okay, so as far as this one is concerned, since it is going to be used a very constant speed, we cannot change unless otherwise a slight modification that we have to done. It is not totally useful to us. Okay, so we can proceed with the DC and AC machine SRM. Here we are only going to identify one more. One more is DC brushless DC motor, BLDC. Hereafter I will say only BLDC. In terminology, in commercially also they are saying that BLDC. That means brushless DC machine. So what is the disadvantage of DC machine? Why DC machine is not able to sustain okay continuously in the electrical vehicle application is it is having a brush. So brushes is a commutator brushes arrangement is a very important drawback. So very often we have to clean. It will make spark. Okay, whenever it is having electrical contactor in on rotating circumference of the commutator, it may be a lot of spark. So automatically carbon deposits will be there. Very often you have to clean. Very often we have to replace the carbon brushes. So that is the reason why even though having other advantages, a very quiet speed control, very quiet torque and other components control, other parameters control is there. It is having a very big drawback of having a carbon presses, commutator arrangement. Okay, so electrically rotor is always contacted, need to be produced. So that can be overcome by simply making a ulta direction. Field is rotating, armature is stationary. So the field, whatever the field excitation is required, maybe produced by induced EMF that is having a rectifier arrangement that is having. So this is having one bundle. Okay, a bundle that is coupled, that is fixed with the rotor side. So whenever a stator is given supply, there will be induced EMF. That EMF will be converted to DC. That is providing the excitation to that. So automatically here the brush is avoided. The brush, the commutator arrangement is totally avoided. No any electrical contact to the rotating part. So that is a very big advantage of the BLDC motor. So that we can have here, learn from here. Okay. So that is the important thing. You already see induction motor. So now we'll see the characteristics of DC motor because so even though we know the classification types and etc. is there, so here the characteristics are very much important. So this is the very importantly. First, you will see the characteristics of DC motor. Of course, now even though it was earlier used for very long, that is a train. Okay, for railways they used. Okay, so this motor for. So now they are identified that is we can able to replace with induction motor. Now, of course, even though it is not existing now, okay, in many of the countries or many of the modernized electrical vehicle applications, you should know the fundamental. You should know. So if you see, there are three different characteristics I am exhibiting now. One is between the torque and armature current, and another one is between the speed and armature current, and another one is between the speed and torque. So the third is called as a mechanical characteristics. Okay, because why it is called a mechanical characteristics is in both the parameter I have taken consider for drawing this characteristics is mechanical one. Okay, speed. So here if you see that armature current is a electrical parameter, whereas speed is a mechanical parameter. Likewise, armature current is a electrical parameter, torque is a mechanical parameter. So the third important one here I have taken this is mechanical characteristic. It will be called as a purely mechanical characteristic. Here speed and torque. Okay. So when we go for identifying the sizing of the machine only, usually we'll take the first and second. Okay. So first and second, when we are going for sizing of machine, that is deciding the rating of the machine only, we have to consider, we have to study about the first two characteristics. But initially, this is the important characteristics that make okay whether it is suitable or not for electrical vehicle applications. So if you have to understand the mechanical characteristics in such a way that it is capable of producing very high torque, okay, very high torque at some considerable amount of speed, okay, with some speed. Okay, so very importantly, series motor is not capable of producing very high torque at zero speed. So the motor should be always started with the load. Of course, okay, so automatically we are starting the particular motor with the load only. Okay, we have to start the motor with the load only. Okay, so when the speed is increasing, okay, when the speed is actually the graph is going in this direction. Okay, so from here to it is going in this direction. So initially at starting motor will be producing very high torque at some speed. So whenever we want to increase the speed, the torque, okay, gradually is decreasing, and after sometimes it is decreasing very. It is falling. The torque falling is very much low. So here at some high speed, if you see that the torque is very low. Torque is very low. Okay. So of course, so this is armature current. Okay. So because it has to produce a very high torque, initially the armature current also is very high. Armature current also very high. So if you want to increase the speed, so now torque, no much torque is required. So automatically I can able to produce okay very high speed at a low current. So we cannot. So this is a very important different characteristics exhibiting by the series motor. Series motor. So automatically when we are reducing the load on the motor, speed will be keep on increasing. We cannot reduce it completely because it is going to a runaway speed. So there will be one phenomena called runaway speed. So after certain load, we cannot run the series motor at no load. So I cannot run the motor at load is zero. I have to keep on having some certain amount of load only. So if a motor is at running no load, automatically it will enter into runaway speed that will that will burn the winding. Okay, that will burn the winding. So speed will be exponentially increasing, double the time, triple the time. It will keep on running. Automatically, it is having a mechanical arrangement only due to the centrifugal forces developed. So automatically, the winding will be get away from the yoke and the complete motor will be damaged. So usually for electrical vehicle application, definitely a dead weight. So earlier they identified because of this suitability only. So no point of time, this motor is going to be lightly loaded. So the dead weight of the vehicle, whether it is a car or train or whatever, maybe whether we are going to use it for marine application, so for the propulsion unit, okay, so electric propulsion unit, whatever you think, so dead weight of the vehicle will be always will be there. So at no point of time the motor will be going to operate at no load. Okay, so automatically initially it can produce a very high torque. So when the speed has to be speed to become into the picture, so when the speed has to be increased further, automatically the armature current will be reduced also. Okay, so very often we are braking, coming to a standstill position. Then we are once again moving the vehicle with the speed. For those applications, it was very much suitable. Only problem is, as a DC motor, it need a brushes, okay, carbon brushes, commutator arrangement. So that has to be neatly maintained. Very often we have to clean, and carbon brushes also we have to replace. Okay, so this is a disadvantage. Why now? Earlier we have used, now after the advancement of, especially I told that we can able to change the supply frequency by means of a power modulator, power converter. Earlier it was not there before 1960. So supply frequency, changing the supply frequency. Okay, so even though we know the concept, there were no any much switches manufactured like ACR. Okay, so all the power electronic switches were not manufactured. So there were problem. Okay, in adapting that. So they don't want to go ahead with the frequency control. Frequency control earlier it was a very difficult, but now it is a very easy method. So that's why very easily we have changed to DC series motor to induction motor. The example case is Tesla. And here it is a shunt motor. Shunt motor, as I already told, if you see the mechanical characteristics of a shunt motor, if you see that, even though, okay, so earlier, okay, see now this graph is going like this way, okay, from beginning. Earlier it is producing, earlier it is producing some speed with some torque. Okay, earlier it is producing some speed with the torque. Whenever, okay, I am increasing the load, whenever I'm increasing the load, torque is keep on increasing, speed is drooping. But if you see the difference between the initial speed and full load speed, okay, so we can call it as a L, okay, L0, load, no load, and here you can have L is full load. Full load means this much difference only speed is there. So unlike series motor, you see that speed earlier it is in the opposite direction. Earlier it is having very high speed, so it is having a wide speed difference from here to here. But whereas here, even after loading, no load to full load, there will be slight drooping only, slight drooping in characteristics only, slight difference in speed only can occur. So this can be a term as a constant speed motor, even though it is not practically constant. So we can able to maintain the speed within the considerable range. Okay, and very importantly, there is a possibility of starting the shunt motor, starting the shunt motor. Okay, so with a very high speed, even though the load is not there, even though the load is not there. So when the load is added, the speed is not drooping drastically, drastically, very slightly only it is varying. The variation of the speed, okay, from no load to full load is very less, considerable amount only. So if you see for a very high speed, okay, very high speed and torque, very larger machine, this variation is almost negligible. So it's like a constant torque. We can be able to say it is similar to the so okay. So the torque also, if you see that, so not constant torque, constant speed. So if you see the speed here and here, so but whereas see the torque, we can able to vary a wide amount of torque, wide range of torque. Okay, so this is the reason why we have used shunt motor. So of course, shunt motor configuration we are not used. The next one is DC cop. Yes, please. Hello, hello. Any clarification?
நிகழ்ச்சியின் வழங்கியோர் ருசிகர இந்தியா ருசிகரி
Noise is coming.
வசந்தம் கோவில் சிறப்பு தள்ளுபடி விற்பனை
Some deep noise.
மாறாத வழக்கங்களுக்கு ஆரோக்கியா பார் நலம் அன்புடன் ரெகுலர் ட்ரைனிங் பண்ணா நீதான் சாம்பியன்
Gautam, Gautam, yes, we Gautam. Sri Gautam, you switch off. Mute your mic. Mute your mic. Okay.
அவனே
sorry.
பண்ணுவோம் சார்.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Alex, shut up பண்ணுங்க.
Okay, now almost okay. We'll continue this discussion with the characteristics in next class also. Okay, so I think is there any clarification? So as I told now, second and fourth unit of this introduction to electrical vehicle is very much important to understand the concept in depth. Of course, first unit is completely history. What is that vehicle mechanism? What are the different varieties of vehicles now available? It is anyone can learn. Okay, any engineering field, any background. As far as the second unit is concerned, it is completely going to be about machines and power electronics, converters, and etc. Fourth unit is a controlling. Okay, so third unit is battery. So anyone having a, I hope all of you from the science background in your school, okay, so first group, okay, studied physics, chemistry. So definitely you can able to follow. The only thing is second and fourth units are very much important to understand the electrical vehicle concept in depth. So hereafter, slowly I'm going to increase the content from electrical. So machines, motor, characteristics. Then we are going to see converters, how these converters are working. Everything is a qualitative treatment only. For you, no any quantitative like problem, like any very big derivation like that. But you should understand the syllabus itself, the frame like that only. Any clarification?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. We can. I think we can move to attendance. Take it. So next class we'll start with the induction machine characteristics and etc.